Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello all, welcome back to our course on digital accessibility, and today we will talk about a very up and coming emerging topic of today's day and age, which is AI and accessibility. So, I am sure we are all aware of the different ways in which AI is improving accessibility. So, one is of course providing tools that can enhance digital experiences for people with disabilities, or AI powered tools that can also make testing for accessibility more intelligent and efficient. These are two broader umbrellas, but we'll also talk about what kind of applications, what are the different ways AI can intervene in making digital products and interfaces more accessible and inclusive. The first important intervention that can happen is in content creation and conversion. Right. So, AI can now automatically transcribe audio and video text into text, create auto-generated audio descriptions for images or videos, which can make images and videos accessible to screen readers and hence to people who are visually impaired, convert text into various other multimodal formats like Braille, etc., making information accessible to those with visual impairments or hearing impairments. So, content creation is one big area which I am sure you are all aware how AI is interjecting. It is also now able to auto generate closed captioning with ease, and now it is very easy for content creators themselves to integrate these AI tools in their videos as well, and even earlier, if they are not aware of accessibility as a issue, they can now easily integrate those plugins in their created content, which makes it available for a wider set of audiences, hence enabling wider reach for their content as well. The second important domain where AI can find key application is assistive technologies. So, AI enhances tools like voice assistants, because based on large language models, it is able to enhance the robustness of voice assistants, how it is able to recognize individual voices, individual accents across the globe, is powered by large language models today, and thus it is able to enhance the user experience and the robustness related to voice assistants, making them more capable of understanding diverse speech patterns. Accents is one aspect, but there may be lisps, stutters, all of those aspects, speech impairments related aspects, which is it's now able to understand. AI powered hearing aids can now use machine learning to distinguish speech from background noise. It can also in real time translate one language to another and skip the need for a human translator to be present at all times. So, hearing aids are now capable of real time language translation as well, which is again powered by AI and LLMs. Digital accessibility testing, of course, this is one of the domains we have already spoken about. Testing and evaluation tools, which makes auditing, evaluation of assistive technologies, evaluation of any digital product from an accessibility perspective easy, but with the use of AI based plugins, it will be much more efficient. It will be able to cross check your product across competitive platforms, across other digital products serving similar objectives or similar purposes. It can cross check your nuanced accessibility criteria as well, which it was not, automated tools like Wave were not able to do earlier. Now with AI based plugins, they will be able to do that as well. So, things like whether the alt text provided. So, earlier it was whether their alt text is present or not. So, there was no semantic analysis, right. So, even if you write alt, yes, there is a description in the alt text. In an evaluator, it would say that yes, there is an alt text present. It was largely binary. So, but whether that alt text is able to really convey the meaning of the image, right, whether the semantics of the image is mapped to the description or not, that required human intervention, that required human analysis, which is now possible through image recognition, image analysis based models, which can understand, extract semantic meaning of the images or videos, and then either generate descriptions or check from an evaluation perspective, or check whether the alt text provided is actually making sense, it's actually delivering the meaning of the image or not. So, so basically techniques to analyze digital products more comprehensively, mimicking real world user interactions to find issues that automated tools might have missed earlier. So, let us talk about some very interesting up and coming examples which have now been integrated in most of our use cases. So, Microsoft has come up with a dictate tool, which is you can find it on your Word dashboard. So, dictate is basically a voice to text software now embedded in your Word, MS Word, Office dashboard itself. So, those who struggle to type earlier can also access the features of Word and create new documents with ease by using dictate, and it can also make lives easier for people with temporary disabilities. Say you are you want to type, but you have injured fingers or some other hand injury, etc., and for some reason you are unable to type, you can use this dictate feature and still create documents with ease. Then again, there is a read aloud tool which can read out a document or presentation, helping people to understand and process the information, and it can help with concentration also. So, for example, if the document is very lengthy, so of course, the direct use case is that a read aloud can benefit persons who are visually impaired. The other use case can be that if the document is very long, if the document is very long, then the read aloud tool can help keep reading the document, and it can help you concentrate. You don't need to keep looking at the screen in order to read. It will save you with all the screen time or aspect, especially if it's a lengthy document. So, you can use these tools embedded in Word itself. Other, of course, is as we talked about earlier, audio descriptions which can explain what is happening, can help those in a video or in an image, which is basically describing an image. So now it is all of these tools of auto generating alt text are easily available throughout the internet, and you can basically, they are AI based image or video analyzers which can generate or text descriptions which you can add as alt text, thus making your content, your images, your videos accessible to screen reader and hence people with visual impairment. So they largely use these kind of models where you input an image, the models are able to extract some of the features, they kind of do an interpretation and then they generate description. So even if it is not entirely 100% correct, it gives you a draft which you can kind of edit, which makes the process a lot faster. And with the kind of innovations happening with the LLMs and AI models, I am sure the generated descriptions will become even more robust and even more semantically aligned in the near future. Then some of the other commonly known tools which such as Copilot. So Copilot also uses like large language models which can help summarize and spotlight key information from meetings, etc. So people can refer to or digest information in alternative format, right. So tools like Copilot has the potential to remove challenges and make work easier while improving the quality and efficiency. So particularly if you are attending an online meeting or if you are attending a meet, you can ask Copilot also to attend as a separate, as your assistant, and it will basically summarize, make meeting of minutes of the meeting for you, summarize the points made by different stakeholders in the meeting and convey it to you in maybe other multimodal formats which you can access maybe later as well if you have neurodivergence related, concentration related issues, if you have hearing related issues probably. Then if you want to refer back to those comments after a while, it is able to do that for you. So I think that is another very important role which an LLM, an AI based solution can play. So models like these or tools like these are able to now make it possible for people with permanent sensory disabilities also, or people with neurodivergence also, get a seat at the table, and which was not the case earlier. There were very limited opportunities available primarily because of access, right. So and even organizations did not know how and what to include in their ecosystems in order to enable. It's not that they wanted to exclude, but the ecosystems and the plugins were not so easily available, or they were not as efficient in actually making the environment inclusive. So now with these technologies, even organizations can feel free to include people with multiple kinds of limitations despite their limitations, so that they can add value to the organization or project, or the project they are brought on to contribute to. So I think these kind of technologies can be really helpful. Then of course ChatGPT, I am sure you are all aware of it. So LLMs like ChatGPT and Copilot can rewrite content in a more casual or easier way. which can help people understand. So, but primarily if the conversation is around terminology heavy points, if there is technological terminology or management related terminology, which for example you are unable to understand right in the moment, you can use these models to either describe them to you in real time, or it can generate minutes of meetings, etc., in a more easy to understand format, which you can refer to after the meeting as well. So, accessing libraries, accessing the internet and like finding meanings in the real time is something which is a very up and coming technology. It's an important emerging technology. Real time translation tools, real time summarization tools, real time semantic analysis tools, and they will keep becoming more robust as we go. This can help people to read, write, navigate information easier, remove the reliance on physical or sensory capabilities, and this can also enable access to information in a multimodal format. Then another common example of use of AI for making technology more accessible is transcripts and captions. So, so you can easily switch on captioning in meetings or include them within videos to support people who may be struggling to hear, for example, or people who are accessing the content in a noisy environment. Or, I mean, if this image is also depicting, it can be real time language translation as well. So, closed captioning, open video captioning, or real time translations, making it easier for content creators to add closed captioning as well in their videos, thus expanding the user base, the subscriber base to a wider set of audiences, and also the messaging can reach across globe. And in the barriers of language, etc., are no longer there. There can be more global participation in all sorts of conversations and all sorts of tables because of such real time translation technologies. We don't need to rely, or we don't need to wait to learn other languages, right? So, if we are speaking, I am a researcher based in India, I am speaking in Hindi, the real time translator on say a Microsoft Meet is able to translate it in real time and communicate it in English to the other person who is joining in from London, for example. So, there is no barrier per se, but the robustness and the efficiency may not be very high currently, but in the near future I think this can be on. And these are some of the aspects in which, if you are an engineer, you are a UX designer, you work in an organization which looks at AI as an opportunity to solve access related issues, you can also look at it as an opportunity to work on such domains and make the systems a little bit more robust by adding your bit. So, this is Jenny Leigh Fleury, and she is an accessibility expert with Microsoft, and there are a couple of videos which I would like you to see particularly some sections which can help you in understanding some of the key aspects of how accessibility can help with can be improved with the help of AI. So let us now watch some video clips of Jenny Leigh Flurry, where she talks about how accessibility is impacted in the age of AI. And she is the Chief Accessibility Officer at Microsoft. And I'm really glad that Microsoft is leading change in terms of accessibility and inclusion, and they have positions like this in their organization, which means that they are very inclined towards inclusion top down. So let us check it out.
And I can select live captions. Live captions come in. I can also then figure out which language I want to use. I can, if there's a Chinese speaker, a German speaker, I can change it to that language. I can have multiple languages happening at the same time. So if a person is Chinese and is speaking, the captions come out in English. It's a really powerful illustration of how we're bridging between accessibility and localization.
Another aspect of AI and accessibility is looking at it from the other lens, and thinking about how accessibility is shaping the future of AI. And again, here we have the same person, Jenny, who is the Chief Accessibility Officer at Microsoft, in talking about this aspect. You can again go ahead and watch the whole video, but here I'm just showing a small clip.
In our case, are people with disabilities.
Yeah.
That's our biggest learning.
Right.
If you boil it down, which has never been more important as we think about AI and what is possible across the spectrum of humanity, but particularly disabled people, which is 1.3 billion people around the world. 83% of us will experience disability at some point in our lives.
Exactly. And I think what's super important as well is that when you take into consideration allowing for people of disabilities, building for people with disabilities, you make the world a better place for everyone, right? If you think about ramps and curb cuts, how many of us use those and you don't identify with having a disability, right? So many organizations are introduced to accessibility as a compliance, right? Why should enterprises see it as a driver of productivity, talent, market growth, and AI innovation?
I just love how you frame that question.
Yeah.
And you mentioned history, like curb cuts.
Yes.
Last night I got to nip out to Berkeley to visit the Ed Roberts Center over there, which is kind of the epitome of that. Disability rights, which began right there.
Right.
It began actually here in San Francisco. And over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, people with disabilities have been innovating. Most people don't realize the electric toothbrush was designed for people with limited mobility. So you think about that potential. If you're not designing with and for humans, including disability, you are quite frankly missing out.
Right.
If your website, product, agent, app is not accessible or including accessibility, you're missing out on up to 20 to 25% of your potential customer base and your employees.
Right.
I remember 75% of disability, non-apparent. You cannot see it. You don't know that I'm disabled just by looking at me.
Exactly.
So it's really important to include the basics and design for making sure that you breathe in regulation. Regulation is important and it sets the minimum bar.
Right.
But go after changing paradigms, which is even more possible with AI right now.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. I think for a lot of people watching, like, it's super important. Look at the history, right, behind things like I mentioned, curb cuts, regulations, because how many of you, especially coming here to Ignite, are dragging your suitcase across the road and you're like, oh, I'm going to use the curb cut, right? If we weren't innovating and building for people with disabilities, that wouldn't exist. Now take a moment and like marinate on that, right? And I think you have a mouse to show us some designs, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, we've got so many toys that we can talk about. This is the Microsoft Adaptive Mouse. And again, it was designed by people for people.
So I think this paints a pretty nice picture of where accessibility, particularly not just in AI but also around digital product development, is heading when we talk about adaptive gaming consoles and adaptive mouses. We will also look at those aspects in another session where we will talk about emerging input devices, emerging output devices as well. But this session, and you can again go ahead and watch the entire video where she discusses various aspects of accessibility which has shaped the technology as we know it today. Right? And we have also throughout our course spoken about these examples such as curb cuts, which was being talked about, such as other aspects of technology development like a digital toothbrush or autocomplete algorithms and all of those things which were initially designed for persons with access issues, but now have been integrated in the mainstream use case, and a wider consumer is actually benefiting from those enhanced experiences. The same is being thought about in the development of AI and how accessibility can shape the different kinds of use cases, the different kinds of LLMs and the need to develop those LLMs in the future. And again, you can go ahead and watch the entire video. I think that is the primary context. Now moving on to some of the considerations that need to be looked at when we are thinking of AI driven accessibility. The first is of course bias and equity. So we have to make sure that the AI solutions developed must be adaptable by diverse populations. They should be developed with diverse populations in mind to avoid creating or reinforcement of biases which may exist because of non-ignorance of individual human beings. So, similarly, another aspect is user interface design, and we have been talking about this throughout our course. It is crucial to ensure that AI tools themselves are accessible and that features like editing transcripts, for example, are not overly burdensome, cognitively overloading for users with cognitive disabilities, for example, or users who are elderly. Then of course, privacy has been one of the major concerns when development of AI is being looked at, and AI for accessibility requires definite careful considerations in the aspect of data privacy and security, especially when dealing with sensitive user data, their medical history, their access related things which the user may not be willing to reveal, and also being sensitive with the kind of terminologies used in questionnaires, etc., onboarding processes. So, all of those aspects are quite important. So, other than that, we can also look at some examples which are using AI agents, etc., in order to integrate those agents into an assistive technology use case. So, let us look at one of this, it is called C board, and you can actually play with it. So, it is primarily an educational learning app. It is an educational learning app for children as well as adults with speech and language impairments. Maybe it helps in aiding communication, helps in communication with symbols. It is also very useful for people who are aging, enables easy access to text to speech, You can browse through this link, and you can also access the app easily. It is available for free. You can access it, some trial version is available for free. You can access it by creating an account right here, and you can try using it. So, to summarize, we would like to say that AI has the potential to transform accessibility by offering tools that can support various challenges faced by neurodivergent individuals and people with sensory disabilities, making technologies more inclusive, etc. Assistive technologies like voice to text, audio descriptions, and AI driven tools like Copilot are already improving access to information for those with diverse needs. So, as part of this course, what we are trying to do is trying to kind of study how those tools are enhancing interface access, and how implementing AI based tools can enhance your product as well, so that a wider user base can benefit. The future of AI in accessibility is definitely promising, with the possibility of integrating different assistive technologies to create a seamless and effective interaction for all kinds of users. It is important in today's day and age to understand the power of AI and LLMs, and how access to those aspects can enhance usability of your device as well. So, that's all for this session. Thank you for joining us. We shall continue in the next session.